Hi, welcome to the first episode of The Satisfied Cook. Today I am going to show you how to make canelés. Canelés are a small French pastry. They have a pretty caramelized, crunchy exterior and a tender custard interior, and they are delicious. They're flavored with rum and vanilla, just like me, and there are several steps to this recipe, and we can't skip any of them. So let's get canelé! So to get started, you're going to need a dozen copper canelé molds. Some people have tried to use silicone, but using silicone you don't get the crunchy exterior on your canelés. So I would buy a dozen copper canelé molds to get that thermal conductivity, to get the outside of your canelés really, really crunchy. You can buy these online. If you buy from a bigger retailer, you'll spend about $25 per mold. But if you find a dealer on Etsy like I did, you can get them straight from a manufacturer in Bordeaux for $10 a mold. So to get started making this batter, you need a vanilla bean pod. You're going to take your vanilla bean and you're going to cut it down the length, and don't slice your finger. Cut it open and then take the back of your knife and you're going to scrape out all the delicious vanilla bean seeds inside the pod. Take a good snort if you need to. You're going to put the vanilla bean pod and the vanilla beans in a saucepan, and in that saucepan you'll add 500 milliliters of whole milk. So now that you have your vanilla and your milk in the saucepan, you're going to put it on the stovetop on medium-high heat, and you're just going to bring it to a simmer. Once it starts simmering, you'll remove it from the heat and let it sit another 2 minutes. So once you get the milk and vanilla going on your stovetop, you are going to start the other part of the batter. So take 200 grams of granulated sugar and 2 eggs and 2 egg yolks, and mix it till it's combined. You're going to take 50 grams of melted unsalted butter, and you're going to slowly add it to the eggs and the sugar. Butter is added, and we're just waiting on our milk to finish simmering. Okay, so now that the milk has been sitting, you're going to take your vanilla bean pod out, just set it aside, and we're going to start whisking this in slowly. So this will temper the eggs by adding the hot milk, so you're going to want to keep whisking while you add slowly. So take about a quarter cup and just continue to whisk. Really get that first quarter cup of hot milk mixed in. So once you've added in about a quarter cup, I have 100 grams of bread flour that I'm going to add in here. And using bread flour is, I think, better than all-purpose because it soaks in all of the flavors. You're going to let this batter rest for 48 hours. So I think the bread flour works really well and gives it a really smooth and interesting texture. Mixed in, you can add the rest of your milk. And again, just kind of start slow and keep whisking. Starting to see all of the speckles of vanilla bean in the batter. All right, keep pouring in and whisking. And this batter is a really thin batter. So if you make this recipe and you get to this point and you're like, whoa, this batter is like just straight milk liquid. You did everything right. It's supposed to be really thin. All right, hallelujah. Okay, now that you have your milk in, you're going to add 4 tablespoons of dark rum. This is the fun part. Because you add in 4 tablespoons, and you keep your bottle close by, and keep whisking. Whew. Mama likes a swig when she whisks. So there we go. You have your batter ready to go. And now the most important part. You're gonna cover this with some plastic wrap and put it in your fridge for 2 days before you make it. So to prepare your molds for the batter, we're gonna coat the inside of them with a mixture of beeswax and butter. So I have melted right here, I have 60 grams of unsalted butter and 40 grams of beeswax. So you're gonna start by just pouring it in the mold and dumping it quickly. And then you're gonna let it drain on a cooling rack with some paper towels underneath it to catch all the drip. So working kind of quickly, just continue to fill them up and dump them out, and it'll create a thin coat of butter and beeswax inside the mold. This is what gives it that great crunch on the outside, is beeswax and butter. It's the secret ingredient for making canelé so delicious. Thanks, Mr. Gosling. So now you have your molds coated with beeswax and butter. As you can see on the inside, there's a nice even coat of beeswax and butter inside the mold. You're gonna take these molds that are nicely coated and put them on a foil-lined baking sheet. Just put them tits up, spread it evenly apart. And we're gonna put these in the freezer for 10 minutes to get them really cold before we add the batter to it. So while your molds are in the freezer getting really chilled, you can preheat your oven to 550 degrees. And then you can also take about 2 minutes with your batter that's been resting for 48 hours and whisk it really, really well. So let's start filling these molds up. You're going to fill them up until about 1 centimeter from the top. You don't want to overfill them because then they'll puff out and they'll be uneven when you take them out of the molds. So just take your time, fill them up, and kind of eye about 1 centimeter from the top, and make sure they're all about the same too. So now that we have filled all of our canelé molds with the batter, we're ready to put them in the oven. The oven is set to 550 degrees. We're gonna put them in there for 10 minutes, and then after 10 minutes, we're gonna turn down the heat to 375 and leave them in for another 45 minutes. Now, a really important part of this turning out the way it should is do not open that oven door. Don't check on them, just peek through the window and keep your hands off the door. Here you go, little friends. Make sure you have something to protect your hands from getting burned. You can remove all of your canelé from the baking sheet. And it helps if you just keep the cooling rack out that you used for filling up the molds with the beeswax. Just leave it out until your canelé are finished, because you're going to use it again to pop these out of the mold. So just turn them upside down, and they should pop out pretty easily. These are looking really good. You're going to let these cool for about an hour before you cut into them. So now your canelé have been cooling for about an hour. Let's cut into one and see what it looks like. I can already hear the crunch on the outside. Inside looks beautiful. You see that really nice texture custard in the middle, and on the outside it's really crunchy and shiny. It's perfect. Let's give these a try, shall we? Perfect. Crunchy, custard in the middle. It's a perfect canelé. Join me next time where we're gonna make gravlax together. Thanks for joining The Satisfied Cook, and we'll see you next time.